The tour guide for this morning. Just for you to know, I am born and raised over here in Portugal, which means I am 100% Portuguese. And since we are creating a small family, so to speak, for the next 3 hours, I would like to know some information about everyone. So if you don't mind, please tell me your names, where you come from, and if this is the first time that you guys are here, either in Lisbon or in Portugal in general. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. Speak about today. Of course, I'm not going to be here telling you every detail of our history, just because otherwise the 3 hours of our tour are going to be spent just over here in the square area right now. But just for you to know that over the many centuries of history that we have received many different people that have shaped the culture that we have nowadays. For example, the Greeks, the Carthaginians, and the Phoenicians. But most importantly, the people that we call the Lusitanians, or as we say in Portuguese, Lusitanos. Right? And the Lusitanians, they were very important for us because, for example, when a Portuguese person has a dual citizenship, let's say someone is Portuguese and French, for example, we say Luso Francês. Let's go, we say Bora. Bora, like Bora Bora, but just one Bora. So B-O-R-A. Yeah, so from now on, whenever I ask you, Bora, you guys have to tell me back, Bora. Let's practice. Bora. Bora. Very good. Goodbye, clock. I realized it's left, right? Se presentó árabes. Ya bastante más. High neighborhood, very good. So alto means high or tall, okay? And bairro means neighborhood. If you guys know any Spanish, like barrio, we just put any different spots. So the place that we are right now is literally known as the high neighborhood, and it is named like this because of its location in comparison to the river, the one that we just spoke about a few minutes ago that we have at the bottom of the square, because comparing this area to that river, this is one of the highest parts of the downtown area. Right? And during the 19th century, this was known as a very sort of a bohemian area because a lot of writers, a lot of journalists, a lot of artists really enjoyed coming over here. And that's the reason why nowadays this is known as the heart and the center of Lisbon's nightlife. Right? And so considering that most places here are open until 2:30, 3 in the morning, what I'm gonna really recommend you guys to do is to get over here. Remember me with your morning tour guide, and then you will grab a glass or 3 or 7, why not, of anything you guys like to drink, and then after that I'm sure you will forget me, but I'm also sure you're gonna have an amazing time because I promise you that Lisbon nights are usually very, very fun. Yes, I think the good thing about Bairro Alto, or at least what I like the most about it, is that most of the doors you guys see over here, they can be either bars or restaurants, and so you guys can go inside, buy whatever drink or anything else you like to have, and then come outside and walk around in bicycle. So you don't necessarily need to get just with walk or drink or something else. I'm going to do this for 2 reasons. The first one is because it is not illegal or drinking or drink alcohol. So of course it makes the Fado from the Custard, and it is usually the instrument that plays with the Fado show, so it's just vocal, which means that if you guys go to a restaurant to see a live show, you will know that we have the Fado singer obviously, and then follow up one like the Custard and the Dictatorship. Es en una casa de Fado. Yes, over there, so we just went all around, okay? This is Chiado, the place we are right now. If you take a look behind you to the name of the metro sign, you will see that it says Baixa Chiado. Baixa is how we say downtown, right? Can you all say Chiado with me? Chiado. So the origin of the name Chiado is actually quite interesting, in my opinion, because it came from the man right behind me, that's like over there, because that man's name was Antonio Ribeiro. And Antonio is a very popular name amongst the Portuguese men. And he was the one that gave name to the whole area that we are right now because he had a very special talent, right? He was what we call nowadays a street artist. He was a man that was usually sitting down over here in the streets of Chiado. And whenever people walked by him, he would usually make funny jokes or funny commentaries about the way a person would speak, about the way a person would walk, about, for example, the things they're wearing, right? And usually all in a sort of rhyme form, so everything rhymes. Which is the reason, if you guys take a look at his hand, you will see that the statue was built with his hand sort of like this. And it's only because here in Lisbon, everyone really enjoys calling him our first Portuguese rapper. He's our rapper from the 16th century because of the talent exactly that he used to have. But I'm going to be very honest with you right now. Antonio Ribeiro, he was an alcoholic. Okay, he drank a lot of alcohol, especially absinthe, and he was also a heavy smoker. And because of that, he began to have a sort of a weird type of voice resembling a squeak, like a ee. But in Portuguese, the verb to squeak, we say chiado. And one squeak, we can call it one chiado. So since he was always here, always making these types of jokes, and of course always having this voice, he began to be known as Antonio Ribeiro, the Chiado man, and that's how people start to recognize the area around him. Alright? Very good. A very important place we have here, it's behind you, and it's... word livreria written at the top over there means bookstore in English, and in 2011 this bookstore won the Guinness World Records for being the oldest bookstore in the whole world that it still operates, still selling books. Okay? The store is from 1732. It is a very big store. I believe they have either 6 or 7 different rooms, and each room is dedicated to different Portuguese writers. Okay? Which means that if you guys are feeling very adventurous right now, and you want to start reading books by Portuguese writers, good? Was this doable, tiring? How was it? It was okay? Because I'm going to ask you the same question in Alfama, and I have a feeling that in Alfama your answers are going to be slightly different. Hopefully not, but we'll see when we actually arrive. This is one of my favorite parts of the tour, because I get to tell you 3 different stories, and I really like how the stories are made. Right? The first 2, they have to do the building right here next to us, is white one. The third one has to be the square that we are right now, and the building on the other side. But before we go there, for me to speak about the building over here, the white one, I also need to explain a little bit our relationship with our dear friends and neighbors, the Spanish. because I think nowadays we like each other, right? We get along good most of the time, and unless there's a football match happening in those days, yeah, not that much, but in general, we're friendly. But of course, this was not the case for the many different centuries of both of our histories. We have always had a very sort of on and off type of relationship with Spain. And so in the 14th century, there was a Portuguese king named Fernando, right? Fernando. And Fernando, he created a very big succession problem to Portugal because he only had one daughter, right? Only one daughter. And he decided to marry his only daughter to a Spanish king. And when he died, when the Portuguese king died, his wife, the queen, she was the one that ended up staying here in the country. But she had, out of all people, a Spanish lover. And so Portuguese people, they were a little bit unhappy, let's call it that, by the whole situation. Because if the queen stayed here in the country, that could mean in the country the influence of the Spanish lover. But if the Portuguese princess came back from Spain to Portugal, that would mean she was going to have to bring her husband, the king, with her, right? And so Portuguese people, they knew that they needed to have a new king for themselves, a new ruler for Portugal. But wherever they're going to find a new king, I don't know. And so right now, I would love all of you imagine that we're watching a very medieval movie or a medieval TV series. And usually in medieval entertainment, there's a lot of drugs, right? And drama can be created by what? It comes from where, for example? From killings, from the church sometimes, from dragons, I don't know if you guys are watching. More options. Anyone know? Very beautiful and positive things like the elves, love. And love can also bring what? More biological type of lust and lust brings baby. Very good. That's the Cathedral of Lisbon. In Portuguese, we call it Pastel. During the tour, I'm now going to come back. From the place we're going to finish will be on your...
No, but I want to go there.
Yeah, right?
I want to go there.
You get to like 25, right?
I want to go up there and I want to...
The heaviest story of the tour. It is also my favorite, but it's the one related to the picture, for example, the one over there, and and the ones on the other building, for example, because 1908 was the year that Portuguese people, everyone got very tired and very unhappy with all of our kings, queens, with our monarchy. In general, the Republican Party started to get a lot of importance over in Portugal, and so us being the rational people that we usually are, we decided to kill one of the last kings that we had, and also his son, right? Which meant that 2 years after that, in 1910, that was the year that we got our first republic, our first government being established over here in Portugal. However, as you guys can imagine, Portuguese people, they were not very used to having a government over here, and because of that, things began to be very unstable, right? For you to have an idea, in 1 week, we had 2 different presidents. In 3 months, 8 different governments. Okay, so things were completely all over the place. And unfortunately, this political situation of Portugal ended up lasting for around 16 years, from 1910 until 1926. Which means that in 1926, this instability ended up giving a lot of power and popularity to a man named António de Oliveira Salazar. Okay, let's call him Salazar. And Salazar, he was chosen to become the Minister of Finance because he was an economics professor, which means that when he arrived in the government, he established a dictatorship. And things, as you can imagine, they're very complicated, very hard for Portuguese people. For example, what we are doing here right now, walking around in public in groups of more than 3 people was completely forbidden. Women, for example, they couldn't travel alone. Women that were teachers or nurses or flight attendants, for example, they needed a special permission to get married. The media suffered a huge amount of censorship, and at the same time we still had our colonial wars, right? Because by the middle of the 20th century, Salazar still didn't want to give the colonies up, and because of that there were a lot of wars happening between old Portuguese colonies in Africa and Portugal, which meant that the Portuguese men during 21 would be sent to war, and the majority of the time, not having a lot of military backgrounds, of course many people, especially many men, ended up dying during war. And so when the revolution began to be discussed, it began to be talked about, it was mainly within the Portuguese region. Before the revolution ever happened, in the year 19...
There's plenty of fun there.
What happened? We have 3. First one, the one that I would say is the most accepted within Portuguese people, was that Salazar fell off a chair. The second theory was that Salazar fell.
Good job, guys.
Now he's gonna stay there for 3 days. Should see some sun.
everyone. The main way is the building right here next to us. This is the Rossio train station, right? The Rossio train station. And if I have anyone over here planning on visiting Sintra, while they're from Lisbon, if you're planning on going on the train, this is the train station you guys have to use. Okay? I'm not sure if anyone has ever been in Sintra before. Yes, it's like it. It's beautiful, right? It's very busy, especially right now during summer. Okay, so from June until September, Sintra gets lots of people every single day. You guys, come with me, take over the space over here, if you don't mind. Are you getting good shots? Yeah? So be ready, alright? So be ready. Now I see where we are. You guys are in line.
said to do is
Okay, so who agrees to 70.5? Raise your arm. It's almost everyone except the two of you. And give
Put my hand up.
the name Pastel de Nata to refer to the exact same pastry. That's why if you put one Pastel de Belém and Pastel de Nata side by side, they look the same. They have very similar flavors, even though the whole company of the Pastel de Belém advertises itself as having the original recipe and the secret ingredient. Which I think it's all BS, but it works very well.
Yeah.
It works very well for them.
Good marketing.
Yeah, good marketing, yeah.
And they're very good.
They're delicious. Nowadays it's the biggest square of the city. It's also one of the biggest in Europe, and it is also one of the main spots where we have the majority of the events of the city. Like for example, whenever we have big protests, this is where they start or they finish. Whenever we have the football championships, let's say World Cup, whenever it happens during summer, we usually put a big screen on that corner of the square so everyone can come and watch Ronaldo's face on a huge TV. During June, so during Pride Month, it's also where we hold the celebrations. New Year's Eve we have the fireworks happening on top of the river, so this is a very big meeting point for a lot of Portuguese people. Alright, there's a statue right behind you of a man on top of a horse. That man, he's representing King José, the king that we had at the time of the earthquake. But the statue itself, it is considered to be one of the cleanest statues of Lisbon, because there's a small detail on the statue that makes a few birds, some of them, but a few of them a little bit too afraid to approach the statue. Like this, see? And give your best for working for free. Main spot that I want to stop at right now. I just wanted to leave you here with a recommendation regarding the restaurant right behind me. This is called Saint Raphael, and they usually have Fado shows, and this is stuff that we spoke about, happening every single day at around 5:30, 5:45 in the afternoon. Right? It's one of the only places in Lisbon that I know that makes Fado shows happening in the afternoons, and second of all, in the outside, in the exterior.
The Fado started 5:30 till 11 p.m. Thank you. Have a nice time from Lisbon. Thank you.
Leva laranja.
At the end of the day, you know, disability.
If you guys were here 2.5 weeks ago, you would have seen that the stripes, they were all connected to the balconies of the building, and they were all coming from the buildings. And right now, it's full of colorful stripes and colors all over the area, because we usually decorate over there. They're very intelligent, because they were able to get more room for the house by increasing the top floor, but they didn't touch the bottom floor. I don't know if you noticed that the bottom is slightly shorter than the top, correct? And my question to you is why? Why do you think? Okay, this neighborhood that we are right now, Alfama and Morelia, the other one, they used to be the places where the Jewish and the Muslims used to live. Because they were both forbidden to live in the Nata city. And so those types of wing windows you guys see at the top, they were made for Muslims. Muslims women are made to go outside the streets, to go outside the house. Right? Very good. Good time. Why did we have to go to the and nothing happened to them?